Hi, this is Carl Valeri with the Stuck Mic AvCast, the aviation podcast about learning to fly, living to fly, and loving to fly. We hope you will consider being a guest on the podcast. Here's a short video about how to be a guest. So let's go ahead and watch that video. And of course, if you have questions, you can email me, stuckmicavcast@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and watch the short instructional video.
Yeah, thanks again for considering being a guest on the Stuck Mic AvCast, an aviation podcast about learning to fly, living to fly, and loving to fly. A couple steps before we start, but one of the things I want you to think about is why you want to be a guest on the Stuck Mic AvCast. Maybe you have a unique story, an adventure possibly, that you want to share with us. Maybe an experience we can learn from on the podcast, and our audience can learn from. You have a product or service that will help our audience. And most importantly, how do you or your organization spread the love of flying? Because this is a podcast about learning, living, and loving to fly. Couple quick steps here. Step one, I want you to select a time. Click on the link below this video to select a time as far as the podcast is concerned. Whatever's most convenient for you. I will say that all the hosts on the podcast usually can get together around 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. When you are selecting your time for the podcast, don't forget to select the time zone you'll be in while you're doing the recording. If you're someone that travels a lot, say you're on the East Coast, pay attention to that, because if you want to book a time on the West Coast, you might have to select a different time on there. It's real simple to actually book that time. So let's look at an example on how to book a time. Okay, here we are at the screen where you can book an appointment with me. It's really simple. You select a day and a time. Say you want to record on Monday, the 2nd of December, 2019. You see there's an 8:30 slot open. You click on 8:30. It'll bring you to another screen. And on that screen, you'll just type in your name and also your email address. And I'm going to put in my address here. Phone number would be great just in case we need to reach out to you. So let me put mine in there. It's and then your Skype ID. Of course, my Skype ID is Carl Valeri. Skype meeting is best for us. We'll do a phone or an in-person meeting also. We'll talk a little bit about the in-person. If you can do an in-person meeting, reach out to us. There's about 3 places at Lakeland Airport that we do the actual recordings. Then click on I am a podcast guest. Any information you want to share with us, put it down here, maybe your website or something like that. And then we can get more information from there. Also click on I'm not a robot, of course, and click those selections and verify and confirm your booking. Now what happens here is you have your appointment booked, and you'll see that your appointment is booked for December 2nd, 2019, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If that's not correct, you'll get an email. It'll tell you how to change that. You'll also get an email reminder like a day before. If you can't make the booking, let us know, or if you need to change something, you can actually do it from that email. You can make the changes to the appointment, etc. You can also click on here on the screen and download that information about that appointment. So appreciate you doing that. It's really simple to book an appointment. If you have any problems, obviously, you can contact us, stuckmicavcast@gmail.com, or, of course, me personally, carlvaleri@gmail.com. Now that we've selected a time, let's connect on Skype. My Skype ID is Carl Valeri. We find that Skype has the best audio quality, especially if you use a headset that has a boom microphone. This also works well on a smartphone. You have no computers required. Interestingly, some of our co-hosts actually record using their phone because the microphone is really good and the headset's right there. We use audio and not the video. It's for best quality because it's an audio podcast. We can connect on video, but only for a short amount of time. It reduces the bandwidth. You can find more about how to download Skype at skype.com. Of course, phone is an option. I can call you directly. And again, if it's in person, we'll go forward and talk a little bit about scheduling that through emails. It's going to be a little more arranging there because we're going to meet in person. Of course, the best headset to use, I've found, is a USB headset for whatever computer system you're using. So the next thing I want you to do is think about talking points. First, if you send us a website, Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other information, I can actually glean a lot of talking points from that. We're going to ask things like who, what, where, when, why you're in business, or why we're talking today. But we'd like about maybe 3 talking points from you so that we can discuss what it is you want to talk about. Simple things like, how I got into aviation, or you're going to talk about, say, an incident you had with an aircraft. It was a learning moment, etc. Just make sure you share that with us, and then we will share with you the show notes before the show and let you make any corrections. It's real simple. It's a Google Doc, and you can go in there. We'll let you edit that and make the corrections to the show notes there. And don't forget, we'd also need a picture for the blog post, like something like this, a picture of 2 airplanes sitting on the ramp. But again, I want you to think about this, that we're a podcast about learning and living and loving to fly. So make your talking points around those type of things. Well, really appreciate your thinking about becoming a guest on the Stuck Mic AvCast. Don't forget, schedule your appointment, download Skype, and then if you have any questions, stuckmicavcast@gmail.com. Also, you can directly to me, carlvaleri@gmail.com. Again, thanks again for considering being a guest on the Stuck Mic AvCast, a podcast about learning to fly, living to fly, and loving to fly.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that short instructional video about how to be a guest on the Stuck Mic AvCast. If you have an interesting story, a unique story about learning to fly, if your life is a very unique story about living to fly, or you just love to fly, we'd love to have you on the podcast. And it's really easy to do. Schedule a time, and then we'll be recording either through Skype or on the phone. But if you have any questions, of course, you can email us at stuckmicavcast.com. And one of the things that we really do here at Stuck Mic AvCast is we bring you that passion of aviation and about learning to fly, living to fly, and loving to fly. And you can be up there too, just like that person right now. We'll talk to you next episode, and safe flying out there. This is Carl Valeri from the Stuck Mic AvCast.